Okay, Rabbi say welcome everyone to our Monday night shiur, Hamitzarim edition. Today we're going to speak a little bit about the Churban Beit HaMikdash, about the dinim that arise during these times, about the Kavanot that everybody could have over here of the Ari Kadosh. It's written in the Sidur of Rabbeinu Arashash that all these Kavanot can help mitigate the din and sweeten the judgment by having this Kavanot and knowing the Kavanot that you're having. Before we start, we have to say the sponsors. Tonight, our sponsor, main sponsor, is L'Refuah Shlema Hillel Ben Mazal Tov. Hashem should send him a speedy recovery. Amen. Back on his feet before no time. And also, Tzachah for the anonymous sponsor, Hashem should send him a lot of bracha and his parnasa, b'shefa, bracha. And also, of course, as usual, to our two sponsors for the year, the Simcha Pinchasov and his family, and Yisrael Ben Asher Shimonov and his family. Hashem should send him abundance of parnasa, b'shefa, bracha v'atzlacha, yishol gedolot, kol ha-shefa, v'kol ha-ratzon. If you guys want to also get in on this yearly sponsor of the Torah, you guys can let me know on Rosh Hashanah. So that's for that. That's for the sponsorships. Today we're going to talk about Kavanot Ben Hamitzarim, the Kavanah we can have at Ben Hamitzarim. But before we do that, today is the Hilulah of Yosef HaTzadik. There's two opinions when did he pass away. One is Rosh Chodesh Tammuz, and one is the 27th of Tammuz. So today, since it falls on Monday night, we're going to go this year with the 27th of Tammuz, because that's when it falls down. So if we're going to have time, we're also going to do Kavanot of the Brit. Not of the Brit Milah, but we're going to review the Kavanah that every person can have of the Cherev. The Cherev HaElyon, the double sword that a person can have in Kriyat Shema L'Mitah. With this Kavanah, it can help him kill at least 1,125 shindalets that he created a day or a night. Every night that you go, that you say this Kavanah, to think of this Kavanah when you say Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. By having this Kavanah, you could kill 1,125 mazikin, shindalets that you created from your own averot, by either Chas Shalom when you're in your youth, or a person that was with his spouse and he didn't stay in the bed for long, he didn't go to the mikveh the next day, or sometimes it just comes out. Carrying all these kinds of stuff causes shindalets, and they take away your parnasa and make you a lot of yisurim, a lot of devarim ra'im, and we speak about it a lot. That's why the kids don't go after the bed when the father passes away. Some places also had the kavanah not to go out when the mother passes away too, but that's not our minhag. But the minhag is only by the father. Today is also the Hilulah of the Baal Mavaria Book. Rabbi Aaron Modena from Italy, the Baal Mavaria Book. Today's is Hilulah. He came out with a book called Mavaria Book, which means the passageway of the river Yabok. What does he mean by that? This whole book is a step by step. What do you do from the time a person gets sick till the time you put him in the ground? This whole book, look how thick it is. What do you do from the time he gets sick until you put him inside the ground? What do you dress? What do you pray by his bed? What are the minhagim? He explains how come the minhag is when you bury the person. You ever see people, they take from the grass in the cemetery, they rip it off and they throw it behind their back? You ever seen that? No. It's a famous minhag like that. What are you talking about? You ever seen this? See it all the time. If you go to the Lubavitch, all the time they do that. When they leave the cemetery, they pick up the grass and they throw it behind their back. The minhag to wash your hands and not dry them afterwards. Why do we put linen on the mat? Why do we do hakafot around the mat? All these things he writes over here, but I want to read you something over here, crazy musar that he writes over here. Many tzaddikim, when they would pass away, they would leave a will. Now in this will, unlike many other people, when they write a will, what do they write mostly about? Finances. But their finances, this house, this apartment, suddenly you see that the guy had 10 apartments, but in his life he only gave tzedakah $20 for an aliyah. Suddenly you see this, he has so many real estate. Tzaddikim, they don't have any real estate. If they do, they give it all to their wife. I have a book, one of the Baal Shem Tovs, his name is Rav Naftali Katz. He was a big mikubal and tzaddik. He was Ashkenazi. He lived in Germany. Then he ran away to Prague. What happened while he was in Germany? One day they said he did Kabbalah Ma'asit. They said, the church said that. What happened was he was learning Torah in his house one night, and he didn't pay attention. A fire started in his house. A fire. The fire went out it was so bad, the fire was like one of those wildfires in California. And houses over there are made out of wood. It burnt 400 houses. The whole place got burned down. 36 people died, like 20 Sefer Torahs were burnt. It was so bad, the German authorities took him to jail. They even made a coin with the fire on it. They painted him like he was like they put him on trial to kill him. Like he was, and they said, why was he? He said, I'm not responsible. They said, you were trying to make a Kabbalah, and you put a swear. You wanted to make a swear on the angel of water. Instead, you made the swear on the angel of fire. And it went loose, and you couldn't contain it, and it burned the whole city down.
How come Goyim knows this stuff?
Oh, he was very famous by the Goyim, by the Jews. He was very famous. The church blamed him for starting the fire through what they called black magic. He said that wasn't what happened. I was renting out a room to a tailor. He was doing his job in the middle of the night. He fell asleep on the table. The wax dripped, the candle fell, and before we knew it, the house was on fire. What do you want from my life? I never made any swear on no angel of fire, no angel of water. But they didn't believe him. They didn't sentence him to death, but they sentenced him to exile, and he ran away. He never came back to Germany. He died on the way to Israel. Till today, his kever is in Istanbul. He was on the way to Constantinople and Istanbul. He passed away, Turkey, and till today his kever is over there. The Chida writes, whoever goes on his kever and davens over there, it's almost promised that his tefillah is going to get accepted. He was such a big tzaddik. In Istanbul he's buried. Rav Tzaddik, you know who used to go there a lot? Rav Pinto. Rav Pinto used to go there all the time. He doesn't go there anymore, I think. But he used to go to two big rabbis, the Pele Yoetz, Rav Eliezer Papo, and he used to go to Rav Naftali Katz a lot. I have his books from Rav Naftali Katz. He writes over there, he has a will. He has a will. He writes over there, all my money. He was a wealthy man. I leave to my wife. Whatever my wife decides to do it, it's her problem. I'm not saying this goes to this son, that son, and the rest of his tzavah is instructions to his kids how to live their life. How to live their life, what to do to get olam haba. You know what he tells them? He tells them, my children, if you love me and respect me, you want to do a chesed to the met, to the deceased, after I pass away, promise me that the people who touch my body are all people that went to the mikveh. It shouldn't even be one person that didn't dip in the mikveh that touched my body. Chas v'shalom, he writes, if you guys are going to do that, I will consider it like you respected me in this world, and you respected me in the next world. And he says what to do with his money. He says, all my money, he says, I give your mother the money, I'm giving you a will. If you guys want to keep my money, for 1 year, you have to make sure there will be a minyan of Talmidei Chachamim learning in my house, Lilu Nishmati. This was a Baal Shem. This is before the Baal Shem Tov. He was worried what's going to happen to his neshama. What are we going to say? We can't even find a minyan for people to daven in the dead man's house. Well, this is a minhag from the Gemara, by the way. It's brought down in the Shulchan Aruch. When the person passes away, 7 days the neshama goes back and forth from the grave to the house, from the grave to the house. And he's waiting for people to say Kaddish where he lived. He's waiting for that. He wants that. And understand? It helps him having an Ilui Neshama. And what do we do instead? We go to the Beit HaKnesset. You have to force people, come to their house and say Kaddish. Make a minyan over there. It's very important. Well, for this, that's why I said you need to have a good group of people that take care of each other after when they get old. If you don't have this, then what do we have left? What? Because that's where he lived. He's very attached to it. When the soul passes away, don't think it's 1, 2, 3, suddenly he's sipping a pina colada in the beach in Gan Eden. It takes him a very long time to get used to Gan Eden. It's a totally different reality. No, because the house is where he spent most of his time. He lived over there. He ate over there. He slept over there. He made children over there. That's the place where he paid money for the house. In Achinami, by the way. It says the Ari Kadosh, if you go to the Ari's Shul in Tzfat, he has a room over there. It's sealed off. They cemented it that nobody could go in there. They say he used to go to his place in Shul, where he used to pray every single day. If you're the Ari Kadosh, you're gonna go to your shul. Most also here we go shul hopping. One day we're in this shul, one day we're in the next shul, wherever's convenient for us. If you're like the Rashash that had 10 students that were very close with each other, that's a different story. But all of us, we go to our house. That's what the big question is. What if a person is buried outside of Israel, outside of the place where he lived? Let's say they buried him in Israel and he passed away in America. What happens? Does the Neshama go back and forth? It's a very big question. That's why the Zohar says, the Zohar is very particular that a person should not be buried in a place outside where he lived in his life. The Zohar is against it. The Gemara is pro. The Gemara says whoever is buried in Israel, it's a kapara for his neshama. But this is getting into a shiur of death over here. I don't want to get so into that. My point was to get into the tzava. It's alright. Yeah, it's a beautiful shiur. We should make us a whole thing of shiurim. What happens from the second a person passes away? What minhagim are good to do? You're gonna see stuff over here. Now death is just the beginning. Let's just say it like that. It's just the beginning. It's just exactly. So what the Mavaria Book wrote a will for his kids. I want to read to you what he wrote to his kids, how to act after he passes away. Today is his Hilulah. This is the Torah that we're learning. And his zechut, B'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach, will bring us a lot of shefa, u'bracha, v'atzlacha. It says, Banai, my children, he writes. This is his will. Tasu na iti bracha. Make me a blessing, please, when I pass away. Make me a favor. Hishtadlu b'chol mamatzei kochachem liskot la'avichem. Do all your power to give your father a zechut when I pass away. Hamach, he's calling himself your old father, your poor father. Shetzarich l'rachamim, I for sure need mercy when I go there. I for sure need mercy. We over here do a couple of dafim of Gemara. We think already we made ourselves the Ari HaKadosh over here. What do you say?
Who is this again?
Hem rachamei shayim harabim. I need the rachamim of shamayim. וגם אתם, אל תהיו, גם אם תהיו לאחדים. First thing, be united. United. He tells his kids, Achadut, Achadut. He tells the brothers, be b'Achadut. How many families broke apart after the death, after the will? Everything that you have in your life is the chesed of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You don't think you got your money, your house, your wife, your children, all in your zechut. Everything is chesed of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem sent you to school. I didn't send you. ואתם קבעתם איתי לתורה. You were have a zechut that you became Talmidei Chachamim. והביתה כמייכו. ברם אחד אשאל מכם. Please. I'm asking you one thing. Kol boker, every morning when you go to shul, every day think like today is your last day. Every day, you're right, so I'm just translating to you. Make yourselves like a worker to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tiyu avadim ne'emanim. Look what he's writing. Tishmeru atzmechem. Watch yourselves mi'akaas. From anger. First thing he says, kaas. Kaas. Mi'asheker. From the lies. Ma'sina'ah. From the hatred. Ma'tacharut. From the competition. Ma'kina'ah. From the jealousy. And what's the last thing? Meleistakel banashim. From looking at women. Looking at women. Look. That's what he writes over here. This is his tzava'ah. And look what he writes. V'timchelu, and forgive kol mi she'yatzer etchem. Anybody who makes you suffer in your life, forgive him right away. זה קשה. זה קל או קשה? זה קשה מאוד. ותבקשו רחמים כל יום חצי שעה בבית כנסת על התשובה. After davening, wait another half an hour. For half an hour a day, pray to Hashem that He should help you do, that He should not that you should accept your tshuva, that He should help you do teshuva. You think teshuva is easy? You open up a Rambam. I'm sorry, I'm never gonna do it again. I accept it upon myself. That's teshuva. That's teshuva for a first grader. You guys over here are already supposed to be in calculus. You guys are already supposed to be in high levels of teshuvah. And look what he writes, the Mavaria Book. Every day he writes, do teshuvah. Ask Hashem for mercy that you should be zocheh to do teshuvah. How long? It could afterwards look inside the book. I'm not exaggerating. Chatzi sha'ah. Va'al na yamush ha-mishnah mepicha. Always memorize mishnayot. So you should always say mishnayot while you walk outside instead of looking outside at the different stripes on the zebras. Always say Mishnayot. He says over here, V'kol yom tegu b'Torah. Every day learn Torah. You shouldn't miss a day learning Torah. Why? Look what he says. He says there is the fifth hechal. Hole. There's holes in Shamayim. Like we have over here, Damikel Alagio, Damikel Palagio, Damikel Palacio, Damikel. They have all different kind of Damikels. Lehavdil. Elef Havdalot. There's also holes in Shamayim. People who learn Torah every day, there are 32 powers in the fifth hall that are out there to protect you every single day. I'm going to read it to you inside. I'm going to read it. When you learn Torah every day, in the fifth hall in Shamayim, which is called Hechal HaRatzon, there's 32 yetedot, 32 powers, hamemunim, that their job is to protect ha'oskim b'Torah tamid, that are learning Torah all the time. V'sod ha'yetedot hem malachim. Who are these powers? Malachim. Special angels, ofanim. These are special angels of the Olam Asiyah. Umadregot, and there are levels sha'alulim v'tikunam ole ma'aseh ha'aretz alazo. Or lefachot. He says at least learn Torah a little bit in the day and a little bit at night. So you should be mekayim the pasuk v'hagita bo yomam balayla. V'ta'asu et zeh l'shem shamayim. Do it l'shem shamayim. Don't learn Torah so people should say kol hakavod. Don't learn Torah so people should say you're Talmid Chacham. Don't learn Torah so people should stand up for you. Don't learn Torah for people should say, wow, amazing. Or so you should get benefits from people. People should give you kavod. La'asot nachat ruach. You should do nachat ruach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it says over here, I'm going to skip till the end of it because so many stuff over here. It says, one more thing. Va'al tonu shum adam. Don't cheat one person. Don't cheat in the money, even one person. This is why. Shekol mamon sh'adam oseh shelo bayosher. Any money that somebody does without any clean, it's cheating. Hu me'ashefa shel samech mem ve'lamed yud taf. That money comes directly from the samech mem and lamed yud taf. That's what he writes. You can look inside over here. Koach misamech mem ve'lamed yud taf. Did I make it up? V'zeh domeh la'avodah nuchreya. It's like you're doing avodah zara. When you take money from the samech mem, you're doing avodah zara.
That's if you're cheating again?
That's if you're cheating in business. I want to say a crazy thing that happened to me today. Today I went to Williamsburg to change my ritzuot and my tefillin. I like to upgrade my tefillin all the time. Always. Should be beautiful and nice. Zeh eliva anveu. Huh? Don't argue with that. When it comes to mitzvot, you don't argue with price. Then I said to my brother, it was the Ramak's Hilula, the Ramak, Rav Moshe Cordovero. Remember Thursday we made a Chanukah Dabai? So I said, there's a book of the Ramak that nobody learns. Everybody learns Tomar Devora. What's that? The palm tree of Devora. That's that. But that's not a book. That's just a part of one of his books. The Ramak was one of the only rabbis that has a perush. A perush means a commentary on the whole Zohar from the beginning till the end. I told him, I want to buy this for Rabbi. We're going to be the first, but they don't print it. Already from Taf Shin Nun Aleph, 30 years they don't print this book. 30 years they don't print it. But I found one store that sells it in New York. So we're going to go there, we're going to buy it for the Bet HaKnesset. It's called Oryakar. It's right there on the top. Those set of the red books over there. That's the books of the Ramak. Of Moshe Cordovero. I just got it today. Yeah, I just got it today. Fresh for the Bet HaKnesset. The school of the Ramak. Again, Aleinu. Say Amen. So the Ramak. This book is called Oryakar. Means a precious light. A precious light. You understand? This. So I went to buy the books from the guy. It's like some basement in Brooklyn. So I go over there. Yeah, some spooky place I go over there. Persian fellow.
In Williamsburg.
In Brooklyn, in Borough. I went to Williamsburg for my ritzuot, and I went to Borough. I go there, and the set is expensive, you know. Then I said to him, listen, I got a couple of extra bucks. I'm not paying for shipping. Give me another sefer. And he tells me, remember you bought for me a book 2 years ago. Wow. I overcharged you for that book by $20. Take another book for free. Wow. That's how you know that a person does business honestly. The emunah. 2 years before COVID, I went to him. Wow. He said, you remember? I overcharged you for that, he said. When I saw that, it was the biggest Kiddush Hashem. I didn't hug him. No, I didn't. I'm not saying too much about. If you hug me, I'll hug you. But I'm not gonna initiate the hug. You know what I mean? So
not an orange head guy. That's fine.
Anyway, but that's the meaning of Nasata v'natata be'emunah. Isn't that emunah? And he says over here, it says the Mavaria Book. Whoever does the business be'emunah, he's always getting his bracha from the Sfira of Malchut, from the Shekhinah Kedosha. Unbelievable. That's called Nasata Venatata Be'emunah. I'm going to read you the last part over here. Klal Gadol. I'm going to give you now a klal. He says a rule in life. Bekol ma'asecha, anything you do, he writes to his children. Bechol ponot shatem ponim, va'afilu b'divrei chol. Even if you think you're doing a mundane matter, you're cleaning the house, you're, I have a book called Orach Tzadikim, Rav Salman Mutzafi, Rav Yudavtai's student. He has a L'Shem Yechud there before you take a shower. A L'Shem Yechud before you take a shower. When you think it's Stama, take a shower, you take soap, it's usually white, you put it on your body, you smell good afterwards. It's Chesed Elyon. His Harini Yosem mitzvah in Gufi, Lishtof et Gufi b'borit. Borit is soap. There's a L'Shem Yechud for that. Of course. And he says over here, Shekod v'aseh, everything. Afilu bechol, you should do it L'Shem mitzvah. I'm telling you, Rabbi Isai, if you go to work, and you have kavanah before you go to work, I'm going to work for the sake that I should learn Torah later, all your work turns into limud Torah. There are sources for this.
Then you gotta learn later.
That's the thing. That's the thing. If you're gonna come home and watch the I don't know what you're watching over there. If you're watching something, then the old at work doesn't. But at least you had a good kavanah. Before you went to work, you said, "Behold, I'm going to work for what? For the sake that I should learn Torah or give tzedakah." All the work turns into a mitzvah. This is one thing I wanted to share with you in Od Chazon Amuet to learn the Sefer of Mavaria Book from the Rabbi Aharon Berachia Mimodina from Italy. Now we go to the Kavanot of Ben Hamitzarim, how to sweeten the judgments today. Anybody who has the book, the Avodat HaKodesh, could look inside. I'm going to teach you 5 small Kavanot. These small Kavanot, you're going to do them till Tisha B'Av. Till the end. Alright? Yeah, whatever we have left. About 2 weeks we have left. Except on Shabbat. On Shabbat you don't do these Kavanot because there is no tzara b'Shabbat, right? Shabbat falls on Shabbat. Do we fast?
No.
Now, first of all, on Ben Hamitzarim, why is it called Ben Hamitzarim? These 3 weeks is called Ben Hamitzarim. What is Ben Hamitzarim? What's the translation of Ben Hamitzarim? Between the straits.
Narrow.
The narrow, it's basically between two very close entities. And you have to pass through them. And when you pass through these two things, there's obviously something's going to happen to you.
Obstacles.
Yeah, there'll be obstacles over there. You're going to trip. You're going to fall. You're going to hit yourself, right? Ben HaMitzarim. These 2 or 3 weeks are called Ben HaMitzarim because during these 3 weeks, basically stuff happened in the world. Ashkenazi, don't forget to do for Eman Shabbat. So these Ben HaMitzarim is a time of a lot of danger. Why? We're going to learn. So first of all, we know that the Beit HaMikdash, without the Beit HaMikdash, there's really no taste to anything in this world. The Gemara says, after the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, fruits don't taste the same. They're not saying it allegorically. The Gemara brings a story where Rav Huna found a date that still was as juicy and big and delicious from the time of the Beit HaMikdash. He bit the date and he was like, wow, I have to share this with my son. Rabba bar Rav Huna. His son's name was Rabba. So he gave the date to his son to try. The son bit it and he said, oh, a little bit is left, let me give it to my son. So Rav Huna says, from here we see that a person's child always loves his own child more than his own father. You always love what comes out of you more than you love what you came out of. But what do we see from this story? That it's actually a physical thing. These things are physical. For example, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi was once passing by a field, an Arab-owned field in Israel, and he sees in the field an ox. He comes closer to the ox, and it wasn't really an ox. It was this huge cluster of grapes, as big as an ox. And he said, Eretz Yisrael, you're still taking out these kind of fruits for who? The Nochrim? Go back. And the cluster of grapes went back inside. And stopped giving the fruit like that. You understand? They don't exist anymore. So at Hashem, when Mashiach Tzidkenu comes, in the kids' books, they show grapes the size of a house. I don't think that's how big it's going to be. But whatever the case was, you see, by the Meraglim, it took 2 people to take one cluster of grapes. Today, you take one cluster with one hand, one cluster with one hand, probably you could take 5 more under your arms. Right? When Mashiach comes, everything is going to change. Now, not only that, the Gemara says Jewish people looked different when the Beit HaMikdash was here. One of the things, for example, when the Beit HaMikdash was here, it says the Benot Zion, the women of Zion, they would naturally be hairless. no hair on the body, nothing. Everything would be clean. You understand? The Gemara says that when the Babylonian woman saw the Jewish men, when they brought the Jewish men after the first Beit HaMikdash into slavery, when they saw them, they were so incensed by the beauty of these Jewish boys that they wanted to leave their husbands. So Nebuchadnezzar took the most beautiful of them, put them on the ground, and ordered his men to ride their chariots on them. Basically to kill them in a very torturous way. So basically he's telling the Babylonian woman, don't even think about it. You understand? These are their guests in Babylonia. And of course we see that in Babylonia, in the first Beit HaMikdash, after the first Beit HaMikdash, the biggest avera was assimilation. And there's a very big reason for that. Because the people looked different back then. The body was different. You understand? It says in the second Beit HaMikdash, 52 years after the destruction of the second Beit HaMikdash, there was a man that got up. Everyone thought he was Mashiach. His name was Bar Koziva. They called him Bar Kochva. Bar Kochva. What was his real name? What's his first? Shimon. Shimon. His name, not Shimon Bar Yochai. Shimon Bar Kochva. Don't. Kodesh v'choy. Kodesh v'choy. Even though Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's Rebbe did back him. He backed here. Rabbi Akiva thought that he was Mashiach. And it says over there that his people and his army, they were able, the Romans used to put stuff in catapults, rocks. Put the rocks in the catapult, and these small, like blistering rocks, used to crack walls. And it says the men in his army were so strong, they would catch the rock with one hand, and while the next rock would come, catch it, they would throw the one from the... They were catapults themselves. For years, they held off Hadrian's army, the Roman Empire's army, in one small town of Beitar. So these were people, and this is all Biskut. This is 52 years after the Beit HaMikdash. And you should know one thing, their level of Torah was much different. They had the power of Shemot HaKodesh. People today think they know Shemot HaKodesh. They buy a book, Shorshei Shemot. They buy a book of Kabbalah Ma'asiyot. They buy all these new books that are coming out right now. A lot of new books are coming out. There's some rabbi, he's taking out all these books. It's kind of dangerous what he's doing, but he wants to reveal this Torah on the world. Why do people go to all these tarot readers and all these full beans? We have this in our Judaism, but the question is, how are you going to use it? I know a scary story about one guy. There's this book, one of the oldest books on Kabbalah Ma'asit. It's called Shorshei Shemot. Kabbalah Ma'asit is practical Kabbalah. It's called Shorshei Shemot. In this book, it says over there how to make a woman fall in love with you. Let's say you fall in love with a woman. You want her. What can you do? Some kind of crazy stuff. How to make the woman fall in love with you. You understand? Anyways, so the guy was reading that part, and every day he would go to the bookstore and look. There's many of these kind of stuff that you could do. For Shalom Bayit, for love, for chen. You're going to a boss right now. You want to find favor in his eyes. What could you do? Some kind of Kabbalah Ma'asit that he should like you, that he should hire you. This guy was looking into this kind of stuff. But Shoraki until today, he's still single. Why? Yeah. Why? Because when you deal with these things and you're not ready, there's a backlash. When you're not a kli, when you're not a vessel ready to say Hashem's name, to make a swear in Hashem's names, what's going to happen to you? You're going to get it nice. You understand? So, but at the time of Rabbi Akiva, they used to know the Shemot HaKodesh, how to make themselves have photographic memory in the Torah. You know what it is to memorize all these books? And 50,000 times more than this, 50 million times more than this. How did they memorize all this stuff? And there was none of the Torah was written. Only the Chumash was written and the Nevi'im. Everything else was Baal Peh. How did they memorize all of that? They had the effer of the Parah Adumah. They had the red cow ashes. They used to sprinkle it on themselves. They used to say Shemot of Hashem. They used to have photographic memory. Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Ishmael, they used to do out-of-body experiences. They used to go to the Hechalot. We said the Hechal right now, the fifth Hechal. They used to go, there's a whole book called Perek HaHechalot. That's one story of how they went. That's one story.
So it's not just those four.
Not all. Everybody used to do this kind of stuff like that. Everybody, you understand? And by the way, that's also called Kiddush Hashem. What does Rabbi Yitzchak Kaduri? What did Yitzchak Kaduri used to do? Kabbalah Ma'asit he used to do. People used to come there. They say Rabbi Yitzchak Kaduri used to have a chair, a special chair that he made b'Shemot HaKodesh, that a woman who couldn't get pregnant, she used to sit on this chair. He used to hit some Perek Tehillim or something, and he used to have some kind of Kavanot, and it used to work out that she should be able to get into the Herayon. Things that we don't understand who used to even live over here. And you think Rav Ovadia Yosef didn't believe in these things? Rav Ovadia Yosef used to carry a plant called roda. I don't know what it's called in English. It's a certain kind of plant. Maybe it's called the same thing. I don't know, some kind of green plant. This plant he used to put under his hat. You know that rabbi hat he used to have, the Rishon LeZion? He used to put it in his hat, naked ayin hara. Ayin hara is a real thing. He used to say, the Bukhari used to say, two brothers shouldn't walk outside together. Two brothers shouldn't. Ayin hara is gonna hit. All these things. Person goes on his scooter, let's say. He's driving all flashy out there. 5 minutes later, he's pa-pa-pam. What do you think happened over there? How many people are watching the guy running down the thing? First of all, how many people are cursing him while he's running down over there? How many people? I want to ask you, what do you think? That's exactly what we're talking about it. How many people are looking at that guy and say, this, look at this guy, what's going to happen to me? All this is energy. All this is energy. All this is energy. I said on Shabbat, one of the highest cancer rates is by women. Why? So many ayin hara they get, so many bad energies they get on them, it all leads to bad things. Tzniut is not something against them. It's something for them. It's something pro them. When the rabbis say women cover their hair, they know what they're saying. The hair is makor adin. But we digress. Back to Ben HaBeit. So these Ben HaMitzvah, so without the Beit HaMikdash, we're losing all this stuff. Now, specifically, the Chachamim revealed during these 3 weeks, especially starting Rosh Chodesh Av, the deen is at its peak. So they say don't travel during this time, don't swim during this time. It's not a halacha. If you want to swim, you could swim. If you want to travel, but don't. If you know what's good for you, don't. It's not a good time. There is deen out there. And if you think I'm making up stuff, open up Shulchan Aruch, Hilchot Ben Hamitzarim. The Shulchan Aruch says, I forgot the time, certain hour during the day, a Rebbe shouldn't hit his student. A certain hour of the day, a person shouldn't go outside under the shade, something like that. There is a Shin Dalet called Ketev Miriri, that he's out there waiting for. This is not a Ari, it's halakha. The Shulchan Aruch mentions Shin Dalet. Absolutely. Shulchan Aruch mentions a lot of stuff. People just don't learn. So therefore, I want to teach you guys the Kavanot of Ben Hamitzarim, how to mitigate, how to sweeten that judgment. Understand? And that happens only in Shmonai. Now what happens? The Pasuk says, Ani Hashem, I am God. The source of all names, like we learned in Sha'arei Orah, is the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's the source of all names. The only name that's above Yud Kei Vav Kei is Shem Ekyeh. Right? You see, that's the name that's in Keter. That's in Hashem's Midah of Keter. But the name that's in that name, that's the Guf. That's the Guf Ha'ilan. That's the main name is Havaya. Everything is in Havaya. In the Yud, in the Hey, in the Vav, and in the Hey. In Ben HaMetzarim, during these 3 weeks, Shem Havaya doesn't shine. What shines? What gives power to the world? Through which power Hashem gives power? Ani Hashem, Ani Rishon. What's Ani Rishon? I'm the first. Va'ani Acharon, I'm the last. What does that mean? If I take the name Yud, Kei, Vav, Kei, that's the name, right? And I take the letters before Yud, Kei, Vav, Kei. So what comes before Yud? Tet. What comes before Hey? Dalet. What comes before Vav? Hey. Comes before Hey? Another Dalet. Shem Tathad. That means Ani Rishon. I am first before Shem Havaya. Va'ani Acharon. I am the letters after Yud Kei Vav Kei. What are they? What comes after Yud? Chaf, Vav, Zayin, Vav, Shem Kozu. Let's see who knows where else this name is found. Some Sofrim have a minhag to write this name in the back of a mezuzah. Kozu. Chav, Vav, Zayin, Vav. It's from the Ramah. Most Ashkenazi Sofrim do it. So they put this in the out behind the mezuzah. It's a kind of power it gives to the mezuzah. Sfaradim don't have a minhag to write this in our mezuzah, but some do actually. In the back of the mezuzah.
Does it have any siddur or no?
Okay, if you have the siddur open over here, you're gonna see it in a second. Now, there's another name of Hashem called Atbash. What's Atbash? Listen carefully, Rabbi Isa. What's Atbash? If I take an Aleph, it could be changed into the last letters of the alphabet. That means Aleph turns into a Taf. A Bet turns into Shin. Gimel, Reish. I lost you guys already. Dalet is Kuf. Hey is Tzadik. Vav is Pei. Zayin is Ayin. You said you want to learn script. This is a good way to learn script. Chet is Samech. Now interesting, Chet is Samech. 68 is Gematria Chaim. What does that mean? Even if I'm in the first letters or even if I'm in the last letters, I still give Chaim to all the letters. Chas v'shalom. Chas. That's the source of Chas v'shalom. Alright? What's next? Tet is a Nun. And Chaf is a Lamed. Chaf is Lamed.
What was it? The last
I take from the top with the bottom. Next, the next. And then until I reach the middle, just Chaf and Lamed. So if I take God's name, what's a Yud? Hey, what's a Yud? Where is the? Oh, I missed the Yud. Yud is Mem. What's Yud gonna be? Yud K Vav K Mem. What's Hey gonna be? Tzadik. What's Pei gonna be? What's a Vav gonna be? Pei. What's the last Hey gonna be again? Tzadik. Where does this name come up? Matzpatz. You guys ever heard that name before, Hashem? Oh, come on. I'm sure you guys heard of that name. Matzpatz. Where did you guys hear that name? They say eat. That's Mansafak, Jonashi. This guy, this happens when you miss a class. You start talking about the Mansafak, man. What's Matzpatz? Matzpatz is when you eat a olive, you have to have Kavanah Shem Matzpatz. Why? Because eating olives causes you to have memory loss. Eating olive oil gives you memory. But how do you take away the memory, the power of memory loss in olives? When you add the oil, but the secret is to think of the name Matzpatz. So altogether, I have the name of God, and I just changed the name of God to 3 different names, which are what? Tathad, Kozu, and Matzpatz. During Ben Hamitzarim, these 3 names are giving power to the world.
I saw Kozu again.
Look at the board. Why are you asking me?
I don't read that.
Oh, you also don't read scripts? And you're telling him learn script. Yo. Nastayashi Aromayev came out over here. Kozu. Chav Vav Zayin Vav. In the Sidur. Now, look inside your Sidur, guys. In my book, I opened up 355. Baruch Atah Hashem Magen Avraham. What does it say over here? Baruch Atah Hashem.
351?
I'm in 355. I'm in Arabic, because we just have in Arabic. Yeah. Baruch Atah Hashem Magen Avraham. Look at the second to last line. Kavanot ben Hamitzarim. Yikaven shehavaya zo Yud K Vav K Ta'ir b'shem Tathad.
Where are we?
Where did you find this kind of name? Second to last line, Abraham. You got it? Sure, boy said, listen, you're gonna get it. Yikaven, again. Have kavanah that Yud K Vav K, when you say Baruch Atah Hashem, Hashem, have kavanah that Hashem, that Yud K Vav K, should give power to the name Taf Dalet, Hey Dalet. Taf Dalet, Taf Dalet. I'm sorry, Tet Dalet, Hey Dalet. Shem Tathad.
Tet Dalet.
Hey Dalet. Next blessing. Go to page 357. V'ne'eman ata lachayot metim. Baruch ata Hashem. Stop. Kavanat ben Hamitzarim. Yikaven shehavaya. Have kavat the name Yud K Vav K. Ta'ir b'shem kozu. Should give power to the name of Hashem called Chav Vav Zayin Vav. Shem kozu. So far we gave power to 2 of those names, because before those names could sweeten the judgment, they need to get power from their source. What's their source? What's their source? What's their source? Which is, which name? Yud K Vav K. Yeah.
So basically you do say you break that down, you go down, you break that down or no?
No.
Hold on, no. There's a breaking of the which part?
I'm on page, what page are you on?
356.
350, no, we're in 357 now. Baruch Ata Hashem Mechaya Metim. Go to that. You see that? Kavanat Ben Hamitzarim. I'm going to read it again. Yikaven Shehavaya Azo, that the name of God, Ta'ir B'Shem Kozu. Will give power to him. Sit next to him. Help him out.
Well, there's Kozu also on which column? Before that.
Huh?
On page 53, 56 also Kozu.
You want to give him a pointer?
I know what we have. We right here. Yeah.
There's no clothes. You see clothes.
Yeah.
There's also clothes here.
Where?
This one's later.
Yeah, we're not thinking of that one right now.
But
We're not thinking of that one. We're in Kavanot Ben Hamitzarim. We're in Ben Hamitzarim. Now go to the bottom of 357. Baruch Ata Hashem Hakel HaKadosh. Right under that, another Kavanat Ben Hamitzarim. Yikaven Shehavaya Zo Yud Kei Vav Kei Ta'ir B'Shem Matzpatz. Right under Baruch Ata Hashem. Right under Baruch Ata Hashem. You have, so what did we do right now? Real quick. Baruch Ata Hashem Havaya to Tathad. Magen Avraham. Baruch Ata Hashem Havaya to Kozu. Mechaya Mitim. Baruch Ata Hashem Havaya to Matzpatz. I shine those three names.
Wait, you still have to say Baruch Ata
What do you
Hashem.
want? What's the problem?
Rabbi,
This is not even ABC. This is not even
So can you
ABC.
explain to me?
Rabbi, whenever you say Baruch Ata Hashem, you say, but you just.
Do you hear what I'm saying to you?
forget Kita Aleph.
Rebbe, explain it.
When you time to.
The thought process, when you say Baruch Ata Hashem, we're right now in Ben Hamitzarim. To sweeten the judgment, I have to sweeten the three names of God that comes out of His main name, Yud Kei Vav Kei.
So on this last one, what is just
The Havaya gives the power. You think Yud Kei Vav Kei. Look at the Sidur. Gives the Shefa to Mem Tzadik, Pei Tzadik, which is a combination of his name. Yes. Now let's skip.
guys? Come on, guys.
One day we'll make a Sidur in English. One day.
So wait, Magen Avraham, Metzim, and
Machaya Metim and Hakel HaKadosh. Now let's skip. Listen, Rabbi Yisai. Now this is good. Now we're going to sweeten the judgments. Now we made it ready now. We made the name of Hashem ready. This is how you're going to save yourself in Ben Hamitzarim.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah. Skip to page 370. Ki ata shomea tefilat kol peh, Baruch ata Hashem shomea tefila. Right after that,
Where we at?
370. When you say the word ritzeh, ritzeh Hashem, what is the word? Ritzeh, yeah?
We say.
How do you spell ritzeh? Reish, tzadik, hey. If I switch the letters around, what do I get? Tzara. Et tzara, time of suffering. When it's not Ben Hamitzarim, it's ritzeh. Hashem wants us. When it's Ben Hamitzarim, it turns into a tzara. We gotta get it back to ritzeh. Now, what are the two names of Hashem that it's called his two names that are the head of his court? These two names, Elohim, but which name? There's many names of Elohim. I could spell Elohim in different ways. Sure. Calm down, Rabbi Yisrael. B'milui. There are two names of Hashem that are considered his Batei Dinim. From these two Batei Dinim comes out all the judgment in the world. One of them everyone knows is Shem Amonai. That's why every time you say Amonai, what do you have to think of it together with? Yud Kei Vav Kei. And then it becomes 91 Kiminyan Sukkah. So ornament, yes. So what's the kavanah? Now that I sweeten the tathad, kozumatzpats, they're full of energy from Yud Kei Vav Kei, and I'm going to release it on the two batei dinim, on the two courthouses. And that's when we say ritzeh. I'm going to write the two courthouses right now on the board. One of them is Shem Amonai, Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud. That's the first court. And the first one and the toughest one is Shem Elokim. But when you spell it out with two H's. How? Elokim is Aleph, Lamed, Hey, Yud, Mem. I spell out the Aleph. Aleph, Lamed.
Hey,
Hey, I could spell three ways. Hey Yud, Hey Aleph, and Hey Hey. The hardest name of Hashem is Hey Hey. When I spell it with two Heys. Hey, and then Hey. The next is Elokim, Yud, and Mem. This name of Hashem is the gematria of Ritzeh.
Wait, Rabbi, it was spelling Aleph with Aleph, Lamed, Hey, Hey?
Yes, Aleph, Lamed, Hey Hey, Yod, and then Mem. And then Shem Amonai. And these two names, between them, is called the narrow straits, Ben Hamitzarim. These two names of Hashem are the Mitzarim. And by having this kavanah, you're sweetening the dinim of the Mitzarim. You're opening up the Mitzarim. You with me? You guys all got Ritzeh?
Okay, so basically, when we're on this point here,
We release from Tathad, Kozu, Matzpat, to Shem Elokim b'milui Heihin, Aleph Lamed K Yod Mem, and Amonai. And I sweeten them, but it's not enough. We gotta do it again.
Yeah.
Avraham, we gotta do it again.
Where?
Now you're talking. Next page, skip to 374. And this is the last kavanah of the day. Yeah, last kavanah. When you say Sim Shalom, look at your book. What does he do in Sim Shalom? He makes the two shins big. Look what he did to the two shins over there. He made them big. Why did he do that? Sim Shalom, over there you have to have kavanah to sweeten them again, but even deeper. Why? When you say Sim Shalom, you're saying put the peace in there. So, and over there, you're going to sweeten it also with the Havaya. You're going to bring the root in there. How? You're going to do it twice.
Same thing?
First, when you say Sim Shalom, you're going to have the Kavanah again. That Tat Kozu and Matzpats are sweetening the two Batei Dinim. And then you're going to have corresponding the next shin of Sim Shalom. That not only these three are sweetening them. Now you're going to put the atomic bomb in there. That also the name that they came out of, which is Yud Kei Vav Kei, is joining with them to totally sweeten all their judgment that only Rachamim and Shefa and Bracha should come down to you.
So all four of them and that.
Yes.
So wait, at Sim, you have the kavanah.
The first, the same one as in Ritzeh. When you say Shalom, you do it again, but this time with the Havaya.
374 on top, before Goshim Shalom, it gives you the breakdown.
But I'm giving the breakdown too.
I'm just saying that.
But I'm actually saying. It's my cousin. Okay. So that's the kavanah for today, for the Sim Shalom. And couple of words. That's a small kavanah, by the way. This the Ari writes down in 2 sentences. The whole Shara Kavanot, this is 2 sentences in the Ari. 2 sentences. But it's a good. Why? You get yourself used to this, then you could add another kavanah. Come to the next Monday night, you hear another kavanah, another kavanah. Before you know it, you're Kabbalist. You're Mikubal. You know what the Baba Sali used to say, what's a real Mikubal? Someone who knows what every name of Hashem does. That's what the Baba Sali used to say. I heard this from my Rebbe's mouth. Somebody who knows what every name of Hashem does. And trust me, there's a lot of names.
Baba Sali was like that, no?
The whole Torah is one name of Hashem. That's why one letter is out. Nothing, it's not his name anymore. Rav Shalom. Huh? No, he has a name that has 72 letters. That's what you're talking about. That's how Moshe opened up the sea. That's called Ab Shemot. You're going to use that name too. You know when you use that name, one of the names is Chet, Bet, Vav. Chet, Bet, Vav. That kavanah we have in Shovavim time. It takes all your nitzotzot and brings it back. Anytime a person did an Averah, it came out, that name has the power to bring it up. Just to think of it, just the Jewish mind, when he thinks of it, Chet, Bet, Vav. You could have it every day, by the way. Where? Just real quick. Let's turn to the page. Page 363.
This started on the 17th of Tammuz.
Yeah, the science and Thomas.
Okay, where we at now?
Huh? That's the Kavanot. I'm just showing he brought up the 72 names of Hashem. So I'm teaching him one of those 72 names is in page 3. Tzka v'shofar gadol lecheruteinu. And really we should make one class just explaining this tefillah over here. Just with these simple Kavanot.
No, I'm telling you, I was going to tell you this.
V'sanes lekabetz galuyotenu v'kabtzenu yachad. What's the second letter of yachad? Okay. Me'arba, second to last letter? Bet. Kanfot, second to last letter? Taf. And what does he say over here? Yekaven b'shem chet bet vav. That comes out of chayil balav yakienu. And also in the three letters vav vav lamet. And also in b'shem ab. Remember ab sad ma ben, which is the root of the 72 letters. Shem ab, yod k vav k. And by these shemot, to take all your nitzotzot carry, and to bring them back to your shorish. See, if you know these kavanot, in 10 years you're going to be clean. You understand?
We'll just make a class.
Why don't we do many things? Win the lottery, sponsor the Rav, and then we could do kavanot from the morning to the night. But for Rabbi has to work, he has to bring money home too, you know that, right?
How long was it?
Let Hashem, may you win. This? If you get really used to it, it could take you. It takes long. He's laughing. So. Listen, this is the Kavanah. We start with Hashem Yitbarach. May Hashem sweeten all of our dinim. You guys learned something big today. Something that your great-grandfathers only dreamt to learn. So before we jump to Kabbalah Ma'asi, this, that, let's stick to the basics first, okay? May Hashem Yitbarach be mizakeh otanu, especially refuah shlema to Yiled b'mazal tov. Hashem yizakeh שיקום במהרה. השם יברך אותנו בכל מת ומיטב וכל הברכות וכל הישועות זיווגים הגונים לכל עם ישראל. May this Tisha B'Av be the real moed that comes from Mashiach Tzidkenu. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ואמן. רבי חנניה בן גדליה אומר, רצה הקדוש